The small town of Elkhorn huddled under a blanket of stars. Silent. Still. The streets were empty, the houses dark, as if the town itself was holding its breath. But in the hushed whispers of the night, fear lingered. It was a fear that had settled deep into the bones of the town, a fear that was almost palpable. The old folks spoke of it, their voices low, their eyes wide. They gathered in small groups, sharing stories that had been passed down through generations. A creature of the night, a shadow that moved with a purpose, unseen but always felt. The beast of Bray Road, a name that sent shivers down the spine of anyone who heard it. I was a reporter, hungry for a story, a skeptic by nature. I had heard the tales, but I didn't believe them. I thought they were just that, tales. Yet the legend drew me in. There was something about it that I couldn't ignore, a pull that I couldn't resist. A beast, they called it. Half man, half wolf, a creature of nightmares. It was said to roam the roads at night, hunting for its next victim. I dismissed it as local folklore, a ghost story to frighten children, until that night. The night that changed everything. The air grew cold as I ventured onto Bray Road. The chill was unlike anything I had ever felt, a cold that seemed to seep into my very soul. The trees pressed in close, their branches intertwined overhead, choking out the moonlight. It felt as if the forest itself was alive, watching me, waiting. The silence was unnerving, broken only by the rustling of leaves under my feet. Every step I took seemed to echo in the stillness, amplifying my growing sense of dread. I felt a chill crawl down my spine, a primal fear I couldn't explain. It was as if I was being watched, hunted. The stories of the beast of Bray Road suddenly didn't seem so far-fetched. I looked around nervously, my flashlight cutting through the darkness. Every shadow seemed to move, every sound seemed to be a whisper of something sinister. Then I heard it, a distant howl that sent a jolt of terror through me. It was a sound that was both human and animal, a sound that I would never forget. Panic set in, and I started to run. The forest seemed to close in around me, the branches clawing at my clothes, the ground uneven beneath my feet. I stumbled and fell, the flashlight slipping from my grasp. As I lay there, gasping for breath, I realized that the stories were true. The beast of Bray Road was real, and it was hunting me. Local lore painted a terrifying picture of the beast. It was said to roam the dense woods of Bray Road, a place where the trees seemed to whisper secrets and the fog never lifted. A hulking figure covered in matted fur. It moved with an eerie grace, almost as if it were gliding through the underbrush. Eyes that glowed red in the darkness, claws like daggers. The eyes seemed to pierce through the soul, leaving those who saw them paralyzed with fear. Some whispered it was a werewolf, a shapeshifter cursed to walk the earth in animal form. They spoke of ancient curses and full moons, of men who turned into beasts under the cover of night. Others claimed it was a demon, a creature of pure evil, a being summoned from the depths of hell to wreak havoc on the living. The stories always ended the same way, with fear, with blood. The beast left a trail of carnage in its wake, a grim reminder of its presence, with the chilling reminder that some legends are rooted in truth. The ruins stood as silent witnesses to the horrors that had unfolded, their walls echoing with the screams of the past. I scoffed at the tales, clinging to logic. Ghost stories and folklore were for the gullible, I told myself. But as the forest enveloped me, doubt crept in. The shadows seemed to move, and every rustle of leaves made my heart skip a beat. The wind picked up, carrying with it the scent of damp earth and something else, something musky, animalistic. It was a scent that spoke of wildness, of something untamed and dangerous. My heart hammered against my ribs. Each beat was a drum, echoing the primal fear that was building inside me. I told myself it was just a fox, a deer, anything but the beast. Rational explanations were my lifeline, my way of keeping the terror at bay. But deep down, a primal fear took hold. It was an ancient fear, one that whispered of predators in the dark, of things that hunted in the night. And in that moment, I knew the legend of Bray Road was more than just a story. Armed with only a flashlight, I felt a mix of excitement and dread. The stories of Bray Road had always fascinated me, but now, standing at the edge of the forest, I questioned my decision. And a voice recorder, I ventured deeper into the heart of Bray Road. The tales of the beast had been told for generations, each more terrifying than the last. I wanted to uncover the truth, to see if there was any substance to the legends. The darkness seemed to press in on me, suffocating, alive. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig sent shivers down my spine. The forest was a living entity, and I was an intruder. The air grew thick with anticipation, or was it fear? It was hard to tell. My heart pounded in my chest, each beat echoing in the silence. The mist swirled around me, adding to the eerie atmosphere. I told myself I was being foolish. There was no beast. It was just a story, a myth to scare children and keep them from wandering too far. But the deeper I went, the more I doubted my own reassurances. It was just a story, a way for the locals to explain the unexplainable. Yet the stories had a way of creeping into your mind, making you question reality. The forest seemed to whisper secrets, secrets I wasn't sure I wanted to hear. But as the wind howled through the trees, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched, hunted. The sensation was palpable, a prickling at the back of my neck. I quickened my pace, trying to shake off the unease. A twig snapped behind me. The sound was sharp, distinct, cutting through the night like a knife. I froze, my breath caught in my throat. I whirled around, my flashlight beam dancing wildly in the darkness. The light cut through the shadows, revealing nothing but trees and underbrush. Yet the feeling of being watched persisted. Nothing, just the wind and the shadows. But the shadows seemed to move, to shift, as if hiding something just out of sight. My mind raced with possibilities, each more terrifying than the last. But the fear was real. It coiled in my gut, cold and sharp. I could feel it in my bones, a primal instinct warning me of danger. I had to trust my instincts, even if my rational mind told me otherwise. I was out of my depth. The forest was a labyrinth, and I was hopelessly lost. Every direction looked the same, every path leading deeper into the unknown. I had to get out of there. Panic set in, and I started to run, my flashlight bobbing wildly. The forest seemed to close in around me, the trees reaching out like skeletal hands. I didn't know if I was running towards safety or deeper into danger, but I couldn't stop. I had to escape, to survive this foolhardy venture. The forest seemed to close in around me, the trees like bars on a cage. Panic welled up in my chest, threatening to consume me. I stumbled forward, my foot catching on a root. I fell, the breath knocked from my lungs. As I lay there, gasping for air, I heard it. A low growl, deep and guttural, echoing through the trees. It was close, too close. My blood ran cold. The stories were true. I scrambled to my feet, my heart pounding against my ribs like a drum. I had to get out of there, now. But the forest seemed to have other plans. The trees pressed in closer, their branches reaching out to me like skeletal fingers. I was trapped. Section 5. Eyes in the darkness. I ran, blindly, desperately, through the maze of trees. Branches whipped at my face, tearing at my clothes, but I didn't dare slow down. Not with that growl echoing in my ears. Not with the feeling of being hunted. My flashlight flickered, casting grotesque shadows that danced and writhed around me. And then I saw them. 2 points of crimson light, burning through the darkness. The eyes, they were watching me. Terror lent speed to my flight. I crashed through the undergrowth, heedless of the thorns that tore at my skin. The only thought in my mind was escape. But the eyes followed, relentless, hungry. Section 6. The Beast of Bray Road. The creature emerged from the trees, a hulking silhouette against the moonlit sky. It was everything the legends had described and more. Towering, menacing, its eyes, 2 burning embers, bored into me, filled with a primal hunger that sent shivers down my spine. The stench of wet fur and decay filled my nostrils, making me gag. Its breath steamed in the cold air, a visible reminder of its raw power. This was no mere animal. This was something ancient, something evil. Fear rooted me to the spot. I couldn't breathe, couldn't move, couldn't scream. The beast stalked towards me, its movements fluid, predatory. I was trapped, a rabbit caught in the gaze of a wolf. This was it. This was how it ended. The beast circled me, its growl a low rumble that vibrated in my chest. I caught a glimpse of its fangs, long and sharp as daggers, glinting in the moonlight. Its eyes, filled with a cold, calculating intelligence, held me captive. It lunged. I threw myself to the side, narrowly avoiding its snapping jaws. The creature slammed into the ground beside me, its hot, fetid breath on my cheek. I could smell the decay on its breath, feel the heat radiating from its body. Adrenaline surged through me, banishing the paralysis of fear. I scrambled back, scrambling for purchase on the forest floor. I had to get away, had to escape the clutches of this nightmare, but the beast was fast, too fast. I broke into a run, my lungs burning, my legs screaming for respite. But the sound of the beast's heavy footfalls behind me spurred me on. The forest floor seemed to stretch on forever, the trees a dizzying blur. I could hear the creature gaining on me, its ragged breathing growing closer. The scent of its musk filled my nostrils, choking me. My hope dwindled with each step. Was this how it ended? Hunted down like an animal? Then I saw it. A flicker of light through the trees. Salvation. With a burst of desperate energy, I surged forward, my legs pumping, my lungs screaming. The light grew brighter. A road. Civilization. Hope. The memory of that night is seared into my mind, a brand that refuses to fade. The chilling growl of the beast, the stench of its breath, the burning intensity of its eyes. It was a close call, too close for comfort. I left a part of myself in those woods that night. My innocence, perhaps, or maybe my sanity. The world seemed different now, the shadows deeper, the night alive with unseen terrors. I tried to tell my story, to warn others, but my words sounded hollow, even to my own ears. Who would believe the ramblings of a madman? So I keep my silence, haunted by the memory of the beast, haunted by the knowledge that some legends are all too real. The nightmares still plague me, the feeling of being hunted, of being watched, the chilling certainty that the beast is still out there, lurking in the shadows, waiting for its next victim. And then, one night, I hear it. A low, mournful howl echoing through the stillness. It's close. Too close. My blood runs cold. It's back. The beast of Bray Road lives.